One moment, that's all it takes to shift how a woman sees you, not through charm, money, or looks, but through presence. There's something you can do just once that rewires the way she responds to you. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it flips a switch in her mind that says, he's different. And from that point forward, the way she looks at you, talks to you, feels you, won't be the same. Stoicism teaches us that the strongest influence doesn't come from what you chase, it comes from what you embody. Most men try to prove themselves. They seek attention, approval, emotional validation. But when you do this one thing, one deliberate act rooted in calm, control, and masculine clarity, you remove yourself from that category. She stops comparing you to other men because now you're operating in a completely different space. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what that one thing is, what it looks like, how to do it with intention, and why it works not just once, but echoes in her mind long after. This isn't about manipulation, it's about awareness. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll never approach women the same way again. Question of the day. What's one small action you took that completely changed how someone treated you afterward? Share it in the comments. And if you're really locked in, type valorous below. That tells us you're not just watching, you're paying attention. Let's get started. Most men think influence is built slowly, through charm, consistency, or constantly proving themselves. But the truth is, one bold, grounded act can shift how a woman sees you forever. Not because of what you say, but because of the energy behind what you do. When your action breaks her expectations, but remains calm and controlled, it burns into memory. It becomes a reference point. That was the moment he stood out. This type of action doesn't need to be dramatic. It could be as simple as walking away when she's testing your patience, calmly disagreeing with something most men nod along with, or refusing to explain yourself when you know your intent is clean. The key is that it's intentional, not emotional. It's not a reaction, it's a statement of self. And when a woman sees that, everything shifts. She realizes you're not operating from need, you're moving from strength. Why does it stick? Because it interrupts the pattern. Most men either chase or retreat. You, in that one moment, stood still and chose neither. That rare act, rooted in Stoic composure, tells her more than 1,000 words ever could. I don't need you to like me, I need to be true to myself. That kind of clarity is unforgettable, and it plants the seed of respect, attraction, and curiosity all at once. There's a difference between rebellion and control. Most men either avoid conflict to keep the peace or react emotionally when challenged. But calm defiance, rooted in Stoic discipline, is something else entirely. It's the ability to stand firm without flinching, without yelling, without needing to be right. It's power that doesn't ask for permission, and when a woman sees it, something inside her shifts. She recognizes that you're not reacting to her, you're leading yourself. This type of defiance isn't about being cold or difficult, it's about having boundaries, standards, and the strength to hold them without over-explaining. Let's say she challenges your opinion, tests your response, or even tries to provoke a reaction. Instead of defending or appeasing, you calmly say, "That's how I see it." No drama, no need for approval, just a centered response. That single sentence, delivered without emotion, carries the full weight of your masculine frame. Psychologically, this creates what's called dominant neutrality. You're not trying to win her over, and you're not trying to dominate her either. You're simply unshaken. That makes her feel something most men can't produce: emotional tension rooted in self-respect. And that tension is powerful. It creates space for her to question herself, to reevaluate you, to wonder why you're so calm when others would fold. That's not silence, it's influence, and it leaves a mark. Women experience patterns with men over and over, predictable reactions, rehearsed compliments, and behavior shaped by need. So when a man breaks that pattern silently, without needing to announce it, it short-circuits her assumptions. Suddenly, she's no longer in control of the emotional rhythm. You are. And that disruption is what makes her pay attention. Breaking expectations doesn't mean being rude or mysterious for show. It means doing what most men won't do, but doing it from a place of peace, not ego. For example, if she's pulling away, most guys lean in harder. You instead give space without a word. If she throws emotional bait to spark a reaction, you look at her, acknowledge it, and don't bite. That stillness says, "I'm not here to play predictable games." And in her mind, that creates friction, the kind that burns in memory. Here's why this works. When you don't react the way she expects, she can't place you in a box. And if she can't categorize you, she can't control the dynamic the way she usually does. That subtle loss of control isn't threatening, it's stimulating. It creates tension, mystery, and a pull toward you that logic can't override, all because you chose not to explain, chase, or defend. You just held your ground in silence. And that silence, done right, is louder than anything you could say. Most men focus on performance, what to say, how to act, how to impress. But true influence doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. The kind of presence that makes a woman feel like she's in the room with someone who doesn't need to prove anything. That's what Stoicism gives you, the ability to sit in silence and still command attention, to speak few words but make every one of them count. Presence becomes power when it's anchored in emotional self-control. You don't chase, over-explain, or try to match her energy. You hold your own. You become the emotional baseline. And because women are naturally sensitive to energy shifts, they feel that balance immediately. In a room full of loud, performative men, the one who's calm, grounded, and self-led draws the strongest pull. Not because he's louder, but because his energy speaks without sound. This is the Stoic advantage. You influence not by force, but by stillness. You move with intention. You speak when it matters. You stay when it's real, and walk when it's not. That kind of presence makes you unpredictable, but stable. Mysterious, but safe. And that tension between calm and strength is what sticks in her mind long after the conversation ends. She won't remember every word, but she'll remember how she felt around you. And that, more than anything, is what changes everything. You don't need to chase validation, outtalk the next guy, or script your every move. When you carry yourself with calm intention, when you choose restraint over reaction and clarity over approval, everything about how women see you begins to shift. Not because you're trying to be different, but because you're being real in a world that rewards fakery and noise. That one thing isn't a trick. It's a moment of clarity where you show her, without saying it, that you're not here to earn attention. You are attention. Your presence becomes the message, and that message lingers in her mind longer than any clever line ever could. Not because you pushed, but because you didn't need to. If this message hit something deeper in you, if it made you rethink how you show up in the moments that matter, write valorous in the comments. That tells us you're not just watching, you're sharpening yourself into a man who leads, holds, and chooses. This is valorous, and if you're still here, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Sometimes you don't lose people, they're removed. You don't drift away from the crowd, you're pulled away. And in those quiet, uncomfortable seasons of life, when you feel most alone, what if that isolation isn't punishment, but preparation? In Islam, nothing is random. If Allah isolates you, it's for a reason. And that reason is often deeper than most people around you can understand. We live in a world where constant connection is seen as success. The more followers, the more friends, the more social proof, supposedly the more value. But the Quran and the Sunnah repeatedly show us a different pattern. The most beloved to Allah, the prophets, the scholars, the righteous, were often those who walked alone. They were separated, set apart. Not because they were unworthy of company, but because they were being shaped for something greater. Isolation in Islam isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It's in that solitude that your intentions are purified, your direction becomes clearer, and your connection with Allah deepens. But not everyone around you will see it that way. Some will think you're withdrawing, others will think you're lost. But in reality, you're being called back, not to the people, but to the one who created you. Before we dive in, here's your question of the day. Have you ever felt like Allah was pulling you away from certain people or environments? Share your story in the comments. And if you're really reflecting with us, type rational down below to let us know you're not just watching, you're thinking deeper. Let's begin.